Imagine this. You wake up, maybe you hear waves, maybe just quiet. That's your alarm clock. And the only pressure, deciding, I don't know, which book to read first. Your mind's balance sheet, totally blank. Zero financial worries. Now, that's not some pie-in-the-sky dream. It's actually the result, the intentional result of building a really rock-solid financial fortress.
And, well, that fortress, that's exactly what we're engineering for you today. We've pulled together what we're calling a lifelong blueprint for financial freedom.
Okay.
It pulls wisdom from, the Titans, Buffett, Ramsey, but we've layered in the critical 2025 strategy updates too, especially on things like tax hacks.
Ah, important.
Very. And we've even looked at real-world behavioral lessons, from compelling stories like The Pursuit of Happiness.
Right. So our mission today is, well, pretty simple, really. To give you the knowledge, the clarity, the confidence, maybe, to make work optional, not something you have to do. So if you feel, maybe a bit overwhelmed by just the scale of retirement planning, or maybe that fear of not having enough is holding you back, this deep dive is basically your antidote.
And if we're talking about building that kind of freedom, we absolutely have to start with the most powerful asset you have, and it's the one people waste the most: time. Let's just look at the math, the brutal math of waiting.
Okay, yeah, let's nail this down, because the numbers, they're kind of startling. If you, listening right now, start saving just $5,000 a year, starting at age 25.
Assuming a decent return.
Right, assuming like an 8% historical return, let's say.
Yeah.
You clear over $1 million by age 65. That's the magic.
Right.
Compounding, doing the heavy lifting.
It's pure leverage, absolute leverage. But watch how fast that disappears if you wait.
Okay.
If you delay that same $5,000 a year until, say, age 35, your final number drops by almost half to maybe $550,000. And if you wait until 45, that $1 million dream, it shrinks down to just $250,000. That 20-year delay, it cost you 3/4 of your potential wealth. Gone.
That really frames the decision, doesn't it? I mean, that's the difference between retiring comfortably and, well, stressing about the electric bill in your later years.
Absolutely.
It brings us straight to that core idea, the philosophy behind all this. Warren Buffett's principle. Someone is sitting in the shade today because someone planted a tree a long time ago.
Precisely. And look, if you're hearing this, yeah, the best time to plant that tree was 20 years ago. We all know that.
Right.
But the second best time is right now, today.
Okay. So planting the tree, that's step one. Step two must be drawing the blueprint, right?
Yeah.
Setting specific goals, forecasting what you'll need. You can't hit a target you haven't defined.
You absolutely have to quantify the why. Just saying you want to retire comfortably, that means nothing to a spreadsheet, You need a number, a dollar amount. Is it $60,000 a year you need? Is it $80,000? You have to define that post-retirement income target.
And once you have that target number, then we need to forecast expenses.
Right.
Now, the standard rule of thumb, you hear it all the time, plan for 70-80% of your pre-retirement income. But hang on.
Yeah.
Is that actually enough? Our sources are saying you must inflate that number.
Yeah, you really do.
Specifically for two things that sneak up on people. Rising healthcare costs, obviously, but also, importantly, the cost of actually enjoying retirement travel, hobbies, family time.
That's so true. Planning for boredom is just, well, it's a recipe for running out of money.
Right.
And to turn the kind of abstract yearly expense into a concrete goal, we bring in that crucial benchmark, the famous 4% safe withdrawal rule.
Explain that one, because this is like the fundamental math of financial independence, isn't it?
It really is. So this rule, it's based on tons of historical market data, and it suggests that if you withdraw 4% of your total portfolio value in your first year of retirement,
Okay.
and then you adjust that amount for inflation each year after that, you have a very, very high chance historically, over 90%, that your money will last 30 years or even more.
Got it. So that gives us the action step right away.
Yeah.
If you decided you need, say, $60,000 a year, you multiply that by 25, and bam, that tells you your total savings target, $1.5 million.
Exactly. That's your number.
But let me push back just a little here. Given, the market craziness we've seen sometimes, is 4% always safe? What if the market totally tanks right after I retire? Like year 1 or 2?
That's the $1 million question, really. It's called sequence of returns risk.
Right.
The 4% rule, it's based on long-term averages. But you're right, if you hit a huge market drop like we saw in 2008, right when you start taking money out, it can seriously damage your principal, your starting amount. That's why a lot of really conservative planners now suggest maybe dropping that rate closer to 3.5% maybe. just for extra security, especially if you retire young. It comes down to your risk tolerance, but the 4% rule, that's still the essential starting point for figuring out your number.
Okay, that makes sense. That deeper context is exactly why we do these deep dives. And for everyone planning, remember that pro tip. This plan needs a checkup, an annual review, like a financial physical.
Yes, absolutely.
You've got to adjust that target for big life shifts, career change, starting a family, maybe an unexpected windfall or loss.
Yeah.
You need to stay agile.
Right. So once the map is drawn, the target's clear. The next big step is cranking up the savings engine, moving from planning to, well, practical action, getting that 15 to 20% of income saved.
And the key here, it's not just the percentage, right? It's the habit. Even if you start small, like $50 a paycheck, you're automating the behavior. Financial freedom, it's one with habits, not just big windfalls.
So true.
Okay, so where should that money actually go? Let's talk about those tax-free turbochargers.
Okay, first up, the 401k, that's the, employer-sponsored power tool if your company offers a match.
Free money.
It's literally free money. You're getting an instant 50% or 100% return right there. Ignoring the match is just leaving cash on the table, period. And for 2025, the max contribution is pretty hefty, $23,500, plus another $7,500 catch-up if you're 50 or older.
Wow. Okay, next up, IRAs, individual retirement arrangements. And you've got that choice, Roth versus traditional. The Roth path is really appealing for a lot of people. You pay the tax now, on the way in, but then all the growth and all the withdrawals later, completely tax-free. That's smart if you think you'll be in a higher tax bracket when you retire.
Right. Or you go traditional. You get the tax break now up front, but then you pay taxes on the withdrawals later. The 2025 limit here is $7,000 or $8,000 if you're doing the catch-up.
Got it.
And then you cannot forget the HSA, the health savings account. If you have a high deductible health plan, this thing is amazing. It's got this unique triple tax advantage.
Explain that, because it's kind of unbelievable.
It is. Okay. 1, you contribute pre-tax money, lowers your taxable income now. 2, it grows completely tax-free. 3, you withdraw it tax-free as long as it's for qualified medical expenses.
Okay.
And here's the kicker. If you don't need it for medical stuff now, you just keep it invested, let it grow. And after age 65, you can basically use it like another retirement account, even for non-medical things, though you'd pay income tax then, just like a traditional IRA. Still powerful.
That really is the sort of dark horse winner of retirement accounts, isn't it?
It kind of is.
And to make all this happen smoothly, we come back to that essential hack. Automate it. Set up transfers to these accounts for the day you get paid. We call it out of sight, into flight.
Yes. If that money never even lands in your main checking account, you don't budget for it. You won't spend it.
Right.
And this gets back to that core psychological shift you need. Buffett summed it up perfectly. Do not save what is left after spending. Spend what is left after saving. Automation basically forces you to flip that script.
Makes sense. Okay, so we've mastered saving, funding the accounts. Now we move to focus 3, investment mastery and, crucially, tax defense. The engine's funded. Now we got to put it on the highway and let it compound.
Right. And investing. It can seem complicated, but we can demystify it pretty quick. Buy low, hold long, diversify wide. That's kind of the mantra. Your goal isn't really to get rich overnight. It's to aim for a steady, consistent, say 4 to 7% annual return after inflation.
Okay.
And we rely on those timeless portfolio pillars for that kind of stability.
Number 1 being diversification, mixing things up, stocks for growth, bonds for stability, maybe some real estate through REITs.
Yeah, real estate investment trusts. They trade like stocks, give you some passive income. The whole point is that when one type of asset is down, hopefully another is holding strong or even up, smooths out the ride.
Got it.
And critically, you want to lean heavily into low-cost index funds, especially things that track the broad market, like the S&P 500.
Why index funds specifically?
Because the data, it's just overwhelming. These index funds with tiny, tiny fees, often under 0.05%, they consistently beat something like 90% of actively managed funds, the ones with high fees, over the long haul.
90%.
90%. Simplicity and low cost win the marathon consistently.
But wait, that feels kind of counterintuitive, though. You're saying it's better to just be average, essentially, than to pay these super smart people, the best minds, to pick stocks for you. How can those small fees be so damaging over, 30 years?
It's the compounding effect of the fee itself. That 1% management fee, maybe 1.5%. It sounds small each year.
Yeah.
But over 30 years, that can eat up 20%, even 30% of your total potential gains. Just poof, gone.
quarter of your nest egg.
Yeah, evaporating into management salaries and trading costs. Index funds basically eliminate that massive drag. They align your costs directly with just getting the market return. Low cost wins.
That's a really painful visual, but super important. Okay, now let's talk risk. Real talk. Everyone listening probably remembers those moments of panic. 2008, maybe?
Yeah.
The market drops.
Right.
Like 37%. Huge drop.
Yeah. Gut-wrenching.
And our sources, they're crystal clear on this. If you panic and sell during those dips, you're basically just locking in your losses.
Yeah.
Making them permanent.
Totally. It's the worst thing you can do.
Whereas holding through those storms, history shows again and again, it rewards patience immensely.
Right. So once you grasp that you need patience for investing, you then have to bring in the hidden lever, tax defense, managing your taxes.
Yes.
Like Sue Zolman said, taxes are one of the most underutilized tools for building wealth. You have to be proactive about your tax liability.
I totally agree. Taxes can just silently chew away huge chunks of your gains if you ignore them.
Yeah.
So 2 key strategies here, right? First, Roth conversions.
Yeah.
This is where you take money from a traditional pre-tax retirement account and you intentionally pay taxes on it now, ideally in a year when your income is low.
Right.
So that money can then grow and be withdrawn completely tax-free later in a Roth account.
Exactly. You look for those windows, maybe a sabbatical, maybe between jobs when your tax rate is temporarily lower. It's strategic. The second big one is tax loss harvesting.
Okay, explain that.
This is where you strategically sell investments that have lost value. You sell the losers to offset the capital gains taxes you'd otherwise owe on your winners, the investments that have gone up.
Oh, okay.
So basically a way to turn a losing investment into a temporary tax break.
But hold on, isn't tax loss harvesting like incredibly complicated for the average person? Is that something you should try yourself, or is this where you really need an advisor?
That's a fair question. For most people, especially if you're mainly using simple index funds, decent tax software can often guide you through the basics each year.
Okay.
But yeah, as your portfolio gets more complex, yeah, definitely, an advisor becomes really valuable then. The key thing, though, is just knowing the strategy exists and making sure you or your advisor utilizes it, annually if possible. Okay. And one quick important 2025 power move to mention, the standard deduction is higher now. $15,000 for single filers, $30,000 for joint. That gives you significantly more wiggle room for planning things like those Roth conversions or strategic charitable donations, more room to maneuver tax-wise.
Good tip.
Yep.
Okay, so we've built the plan, funded the accounts, invested wisely. Now let's shift to the defensive playbook and mindset lessons. Focus 4. We need to dodge those common mistakes that can just derail the whole plan.
Right. And the single biggest pitfall, the one we see over and over, grossly underestimating retirement costs, particularly healthcare.
Yeah, that number is scary.
It's staggering. The estimates are around $315,000 per couple lifetime, just for healthcare costs in retirement after tax.
Well, yeah.
If you don't specifically buffer for that, you really risk running out of money. That's why the advice is often to add an extra buffer, maybe 20% extra to your total savings target, just for that healthcare risk factor.
Okay, that's sobering but necessary. And once we actually hit retirement, the finish line, it shouldn't mean zero income, right? It should mean diversified income, multiple streams.
Absolutely. Aim for like 3 to 5 different income streams if you can.
And one classic strategy we have to talk about is the huge benefit of delaying Social Security.
Oh, this is enormous leverage. Huge. Okay, so you can claim Social Security as early as 62.
Right.
But the real financial boost, the big win, comes from waiting. Delaying it until age 70 if possible. Why? Because you get an 8% annual increase compounded for every single year you delay past your full retirement age.
8% guaranteed.
8% guaranteed return from the government, essentially. That can mean a max payout of maybe $40,000 a year at 70 versus perhaps only $25,000 if you took it at 62. If you can afford to wait, financially speaking, delaying Social Security is one of the best, safest returns you can possibly find.
That's powerful. And for more modern twists, retirement doesn't have to be a full stop anymore, does it? We see people doing encore careers using platforms like, say, TaskRabbit.
Or creating passive income, maybe writing an ebook, monetizing expertise they built over a lifetime. These kinds of modern side hustles, they provide income, sure, but also mental engagement.
Totally. And that brings us to wrapping up with the stories that make these ideas stick. Connecting the dry concepts to, real human effort, we have to revisit the pursuit of happiness.
Yeah.
Chris Gardner's story.
Incredible story.
Rags to riches, right. It just highlights that necessary sacrifice of short-term comfort. I mean, sleeping in train station bathrooms for those profound long-term wins. The lesson is just undeniable. You need fierce discipline.
Fierce discipline. And before we move on from stories, let's circle back to that idea of Ida, the 92-year-old waitress we talked about from the sources, featured in The Millionaire Next Door. She's like the ultimate rejection of the get-rich-quick idea, isn't she? What was the single biggest mental hurdle she overcame that we can all learn from?
Yeah, Ida's amazing. She overcame lifestyle creep. That's the big one.
Explain that. Lifestyle creep is where, as your income goes up over your career, your spending just naturally rises to meet it. Or exceed it. Ida. She saved 10% of her income consistently her entire life from waitressing tips.
Wow.
She absolutely proved, that your discipline matters way more than your salary size. Most people, they get a raise, they buy a fancier car, a bigger house. Ida kept her saving percentage fixed, maybe even increased it, and just maximized her time advantage over decades. She is living proof that discipline, not just a huge income, is what buys you freedom.
Discipline. That's the key word. And it leads perfectly into Dave Ramsey's crucial foundational quote. You must gain control over your money, or the lack of it will forever control you if you're carrying high-interest debt. Getting debt-free isn't just another financial goal. It's like the foundational plank for building that freedom fortress in the first place.
Absolutely essential. So, okay, let's synthesize this whole deep dive. What are the key actions? Start early, obvious, but crucial. Automate everything you possibly can. Diversify your investments widely and aggressively use those tax tools. We covered the Roth, the HSA, tax loss harvesting.
Got it. And for that sort of holistic hack, the thing that often gets missed, we need to bring in wellness integration.
Yeah, this is interesting.
The sources actually suggest that blending your finances with a sense of fulfillment, like maybe consistent volunteering or engaging in purpose-driven work, even part-time, that can actually slash your healthcare costs by up to 20% in later life.
How does that work?
Purely because of the physical and mental engagement it provides. Staying active, staying connected, having purpose, it keeps you healthier.
That's a really powerful feedback loop then, isn't it? Purpose keeps you healthier.
Right.
And being healthier makes your money last longer.
Well, okay, so we've covered the math, the mechanisms, the behaviors.
Yeah, I have. But here's the final, maybe provocative thought for you, the listener, to carry forward from all this. If retirement isn't just an endpoint, if it's truly an encore, as some call it.
What purposeful activity, something totally separate from financial need, what activity will script the first 5 years of your encore? What are you building that goes beyond just the balance sheet?
That's a deep question. Thinking about that legacy piece. Don't wait for permission, right? Take that first step today. Whether it's finally opening that IRA or maybe booking a chat with a fee-only advisor.
Yeah.
The future you. They are depending entirely on the choices you make right now.